Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League. We are here for the latest F2 round here at Paul Ricard. One-shot qualifying followed by a 15-lap feature race that includes a mandatory pit stop and then an 11-lap sprint race that doesn't need to feature a mandatory pit stop. So we're just waiting for the cars to begin their one-shot qualifying. And just a rundown on the championship standings going into this one. 75 points is the gap between Don Argent in the lead and Green Pies in second. But Argent's not around tonight. He decides to spectate this one. So it's an opportunity for Green Pies to close in and keep the title race alive. It's good news for Winfield, Ramsdell and Vintage as well. But Rosie's not around tonight, and I don't think she'll be around for the remainder of the season either, which is a shame. But she's done a tremendous job in putting together the F2 lobbies over the course of the season and the previous ones. So who will be on pole position? Who's going to claim the first 4 championship points of tonight? We'll go on board with one of the drivers. We'll go on board with Ramsdell because he's been in red-hot form this season. Has a chance of potentially finishing second in the championship. And here we are with him as he goes through the Verdi chicane, turns 1 and 2. So Ramsdell through turn 4, and this is turn 5. He's coming through now. And we've got a right-hander of 6. And then through turn 7 and onto the Mistral straight. And Wild Dog has retired from the session, so he'll be starting at the back. Only 12 drivers involved tonight. Green Pies is just trying to get his dams back in play. So Ramsdell through Scene. And now DeBose. Approaches the turn 12 left-hander of Bendor, through the sweeping right-hander of Galaban, and then the fast left-hander of Top, and then in the last corner of Pont to round off this Paul Ricard circuit. Rear wing open, and Ramsdell will go over the line, and he will start on pole position for the F2 feature race in the Formula Racing League here in France. And so Ramsdell lines up on pole with Dust alongside, and it's Podge and Stephen on row 2. Then we've got Lucifer and Winfield on the 3rd row. Vintage and Cookie with the last of those to set a time. Green Pies will start 9th on the grid. He's just got back into the lobby, I think. And he'll be alongside Swanshanks on the 5th row. Terades and Wild Dog will start at the back. That was qualifying. We go on to the race. The 15-lap feature race it is that will include a mandatory pit stop. We'll be back very shortly. Welcome back, and the formation up is about to get underway now. It was rather quick, I have to say, so someone's obviously read it up early without even thinking about the other drivers, trying to set their strategies, and the only driver to start on the harder compounds is Dust in second position. All the others are on the softs. So Ramsel leads the field round. Came into this with 214 points. He's 118 off the lead, so he's not mathematically out of it yet, but he needs a strong result here to get himself back into it, and he's got a good chance of doing so this evening. Ramsel's picked up quite a number of victories already this season. Looks to add to that tally tonight. So 15 laps of this race, so we should be looking at around 25 minutes. Unless we get any safety cars, of course. But I think on a track like Paul Ricard, safety cars are less likely than a lot of the other circuits, so I'm hoping we get through this without any need of a safety car. So Ramsel coming towards the grid now. And with only 12 cars involved, it won't be too long, shouldn't be too long before everyone else lines up in the grid. And then we'll be ready to go for this first race of the evening. So Ramsel will line up on pole position in the silver and black liveried high-tech. Dust in second place in the yellow and black, or black and yellow liveried UNI Virtuosi. All 12 cars are on the grid then. We are ready to go here at Paul Ricard. Ramsel on pole, Dust alongside. The 5 red lights appear in front of the drivers when they go out. We'll begin racing here in France. It's lights out and away we go. Ramsel gets off the line very well. Podge has made a good start from third position. It's going to be alongside the UNI Virtuosi of Dust, and he's going to go through into second place before they get into the first chicane. So Ramsel leads ahead of Podge in second place. It's Dust ahead of the Pramer of Winfield in fourth position. Lucifer and Swan are next behind. There's a bit of damage. I don't know whose car that is. I think that may well be Terraid's in the UNI Virtuosi, which is lost ground. We'll come to that shortly. And there's Green Pies making his way through the field. In the dams, he's got through on the HWA of Stephen. He's putting himself up to P6, and one of the Charousses is off the track there. That is Swanshanks, who may have damage at the start. Terraid's most certainly, I think, has got damage somewhere. Vintage has got damage in the dams, so they'll probably need to come into the pits. I'll just wait until lap 3 when the pit window is open, which is where you are allowed. Which is when you are allowed to make your mandatory pit stop. If you pit in within the first couple of laps, that will not count as your mandatory pit stop. So Ramsel pulling away in the lead with Podge in a good second position. It's Dust who's in third on the harder of the two compounds. It's the softs and the hards in F2 here at Paul Ricard. So Dust will have his chance at the front, providing he keeps himself out of trouble. He'll get his chance of being at the front. He's got Lucifer right behind in the MP Motorsport car. So the leaders are coming round to complete the first lap with Ramsel in the race lead. And there's Podge in second place. The closest battle we've got is between Dust and Lucifer. There's no DRS for the first 2 laps of the race, remember, as Vintage decides to come into the pits to get that front wing changed. This will not count as his mandatory pit stop, so he'll have to hope for a safety car at some point. Lucifer runs wide on the exit of turn 2. I'm pretty sure they'll pick up a warning for that. Penalties are a common feature on this circuit, given that there is plenty of runoff. So Ramsell looking very, very good at the moment. Clean off the line, no problem whatsoever. He's able to extend his lead to over 3 seconds now. And there's Lucifer going side by side with the UNI virtuosi of Dust as they go into the Mistral chicane. And Lucifer's through. Very nice move there from the MP driver. He gets himself up into the podium places. And Green Pies has lost connection somewhere, so his car will be ghosted. And the field will sprint past him with ease before he can get back in again. That's raids on the inside there of Wild Dog. The two tussling over 9th place. Swanshank's not too far behind them. Vintage is back in the race on another set of these soft compounds. You can see Wild Dog and Terrade's getting past the ghosted dams of Green Pies. He'll be going backwards. So Ramsell around to complete the second lap. It'll be a new fastest lap. 43.996. And the DRS has been enabled now as well. Ramsell's well clear of it, so he doesn't need to worry about drivers behind with DRS. Dust will be worried though, because Winfield is most certainly within a second of him, or he's very close to him before the chicane, and someone's gone off. It's Vintage in the dams. Doesn't appear to have any damage to the car, so he is able to continue. Ramsell still in front. There's Winfield behind Dust in the battle over 4th place. Winfield got a better exit coming out of turn 7 than the Virtuosi. Uses the DRS to good effect here. He might just get on the inside, thought about it, but decides to back out of it. There is Cookie and Stephen tussling over 6th position as Wild Dog gets the first time penalty of the race for track limits. Green Pie still controlled by the AI at the moment. And Green Pie's just coming in saying that his Wi-Fi's been playing up, so it could well be him out of the running for tonight, so his car's going to have to be controlled by the AI from here on in. And Stephen makes contact with Cookie as he comes into the pits. You can make your mandatory pit stop now if you want to. And Stephen comes in. Now he'll get out with some clean air, no question. He's got some front wing damage though, so that perhaps explains why he's decided to pit in now. Ramsell in cruise control as Lucifer approaches Podge in the battle for 2nd place. The MP driver thinking about a pass here. With the extra straight line speed, he should be able to. Remains in the slipstream. Podge goes defensive. Lucifer decides to back out of it before they get to the chicane. And you can see Cookie getting past Dust to go up into 5th position in the Campos. And Wild Dog picks up another penalty now. 6 seconds he's on. Now the top 8 finishers determine the reverse grid. As Terades gets past his teammate, does he? He's still going side by side with him. Wisely lets his teammate go back through, as there would have been contact had he not done that. So Terades still behind. I wonder who will be pitting in at the end of this lap. Well, Ramsell's not pitting in. Neither is Podge or Lucifer or Winfield. And Just looking to see who's decided it. So no one decided to duck into the pits at the end of that lap, and Stephen's come back out on another set of soft tyres, so he'll have to pit in again because you do have to use both dry compounds in a feature race, unless it's wet, of course. So we're on lap 5 of this race, we're approaching the third way mark. Ramsel's lead has increased to more than 6.5 seconds. Go back to the battle for P2 as Lucifer gets better drive, coming out of 6 and 7. I still think it's going to be too far back to have a go on Podge here. So Dust approaching Cookie. On the inside, approaching the Mistral chicane. Nearly contact there, but Dust back of it, and now he's got to Raids, who's going to be overtaken here by Wild Dog on the exit of the chicane. So Wild Dog putting his Carlin up into 7th position. And Ramsel comes in for his mandatory pit stop at the end of lap 5. So he'll go on to the hard compounds. Lucifer decides it's time to pit in as well. Winfield also coming in, Cookie as well. And looks like Wild Dog goes into the pit lane. And looks like Therese went off track there. Not sure what's going on involving him. So Ramsel exits his box now. He should rejoin in 5th position. And with some clean air. So Wild Dog and Cookie rejoin. Cookie in 8th, Wild Dog 9th. So Podge is your current race leader. As he does pit in, it'll be Dust going into the lead for a few laps before he ducks in for the soft compounds. So Podge coming into this round on 102 points in 8th position in the championship standings. He's 85 off his nearest rival Swanshanks, so this could be a good opportunity for him to get a good haul of points here and actually close in with Swanshanks in 3rd place on the road. And someone's gone off in sector 2. Who is that? That's Wild Dog, who's gone off track. And Podge pits in from the race lead, which will see Dust take over. Swanshanks and Therese pits in together as well. So Ramsel goes into 2nd place on the road. So Dust has the lead right now. So Swanshanks was behind. Can Lucifer get in front of Podge here? Here we go. Look, Lucifer gets in front of Podge as Podge comes out of the pit. So Lucifer is able to complete the undercut just, but he's run wide at turn 1, and Podge is going to be back alongside him, and Lucifer's let him back through. So I'm quite surprised Lucifer's allowed him through that easily, if I'm honest with you. But he may be able to get him on the Mistral straight with DRS. And it looks like, oh, Dust has spun round in the UNI Virtuosi. So the current race leader has lost time. And he's going to lose the lead to Ramsel very shortly, I would think. But here's Lucifer. Think about going to the outside. You don't want to be doing it there, mate. Otherwise you'll be exceeding track limits if you do that. You want to be on the inside. So Ramsel all over the back of Dust as they go through to Bose. And Ramsel should take the lead very, very shortly here. So Ramsel is going to have DRS on this pit straight here. He's got more grip. And, oh, it looks like Lucifer's gone off track. He has. So he's lost it coming out of turn 12. And Lucifer has lost a position to Winfield as a result of it. So Ramsel's through into the race lead. Dust will sit back as Wild Dog picks up yet another time penalty. 9 seconds he's on now. Stephen comes into the pits to get the hard compound put on his car. So Dust behind Ramsel. See if there's any other battles going on behind. Doesn't appear to be. So the closest battle we've got on track is between the top two. Although Ramsel should be able to pull away now with the extra grip. And Stephen picks up his first penalty of the race for all track limits. He's a long way behind Terades anyway. He's 13 seconds clear of Green Pies, so as it stands, Stephen wouldn't lose any positions. So Ramsel is about to complete lap 8. Dust is the only driver yet to pit in now. And someone's gone round in sector 3. Is that Winfield? It is. So Winfield's gone off track. And that's allowed Lucifer back through and Cookie through. So Ramsel continuing to lead. So Ramsel over a second clear, so Dust won't use the DRS. And next time they do go through a DRS zone, but there is a battle going on now between Winfield, Cookie, and Swanshanks. I think Winfield's got back in front of Cookie actually. So Winfield recovering after that spin. Vintage moving in front of Green Pies, whose car is controlled by the AI right now. Now, with his car being controlled by the AI, I'm not so sure that Green Pies... And we've just seen Dust go for another spin, and he's exceeded track limits as well, which is why he's got a 3-second time penalty. So Dust going for his second spin of the night, and that's lost him even more time. He'll fall down to 9th by the time he pits in. And I'd say that Terades has also had a bit of off-roading. So Terades in 9th position as we watch Winfield hold off Cookie and Swanshanks. Wild Dog has has picked up yet another time penalty, and Therese has got his first one of the race. So, Wild Dog just needs to keep his car on the track. He's been receiving far too many penalties in a lot of races that I've commentated on him, so he needs to keep his discipline in check. So Cookie in 6th place, still chasing Winfield in the Prema. And Swanshanks is the next to be given a time penalty now for track limits. As Dust decides to come in for a pit stop now. Ramsel is 5 laps away from victory. Dust will go onto the soft compound, so he may go for the fastest lap. He'll drop down to 9th place on the road. No problem there for Dust. He comes out now behind his teammate. So at least we get to see some action here from Dust to take these soft tyres to the end. As we watch Cookie continue to close in on Winfield in the battle for 4th. Ramsel's lead now is nearly 16 seconds over Podge. If that's not dominance to you, then I don't know what is, considering we are only on lap 11 in this F2 feature race. So Cookie behind Winfield. And Wild Dog gets another penalty now. 15 seconds worth he's on. Rear wing open on Cookie's car as he looks to make life's work of Winfield. Swanshanks has got a 3-second time penalty, so if he was to get by Winfield and Cookie, he would need to open up a 3-second margin on. So there's Dust on the soft compound. He can get by to Raids here. That would put him in chance of a reverse grid pole, but having said that, Wild Dog will be falling back with his mammoth penalty, as Winfield is the latest to receive a time penalty now. You've just seen that Ramsel's just lapped the AI ghosted dams of Green Pies. And Swanshanks behind Cookie now. Rear wing open. And Dust has got through on Therese to go up into 8th position. So Swanshanks on the inside there. He thought about a move. Contact made with the Campos. He won't want to get too close. Dust posts a new fastest up of the race. He'll be right on the tail of Wild Dog very, very shortly, with the pace that he's got now. So Swanshanks is ready to have a go on Cookie on the Mistral Straight. Cookie struggling for grip on the exit of turn 6. And Swanshanks will open the DRS into the slipstream, and he'll pull out alongside, and he'll go up into 5th place on the road. He hasn't got long left in this race now to open up a big margin on the Campos. But Cookie's fighting back. Swanshanks remains in front for now. And Ramsel's now taking the fastest lap points away from Dust, because he's just posted a 1:43.4. And the fastest time of his is only 0.06 of a second faster than Dust, although Dust is continuing to wheel in the laps. I don't know if he's set a personal best sector 1 on this lap in comparison to last time, and sector 2. We'll see what his time is like over the line. 1:43.4 is what he needs to be if he was to get those fastest lap points. Doesn't do it on this occasion. Attempts slower. And there's a spin in sector 3, and it's Stephen in the HWA who's gone off track. He continues on his way though. So Ramsel, around about, I'd say, 8 kilometres away now from race victory. Podge will finish second ahead of Lucifer, who has that penalty hanging over him, but that won't drop him many positions. So there's Dust with the DRS behind Wild Dog. Dust keeps the car points in the right way. And Ramsel is about to start the final lap of this race now in the high-tech. Terades gets another 3 seconds of time penalty added. He's now on 6 seconds worth, but that won't lose him any positions. But he would still move in front of Wild Dog by the checkered flag. And Dust has a chance to get the fastest lap here as well. Now Dust, I'm sure, exceeded track limits there, so he needs to be very careful. DRS is open now on the UNI Virtuosi. Dust does not get the fastest lap on this occasion, but he's got the DRS open. And he will move in front of the Carlin, and it will pull away from him now. And Wild Dog gets another penalty from this race. 18 seconds worth he's on. So the chance of him being on reverse grid pole is pretty much gone now. And Stephen into the pits for HWA, and he decides to retire from the race. We'll go back to the leader though. Ramsel is only just a few corners away now. And he'll lift another winner's trophy on the podium. Nearly 20 seconds clear of everyone else. That's how good he is. So Ramsel gets through the last corner now. And he's going to take victory here at Paul Ricard. Ramsel wins the feature race in F2 in the Formula Racing League in France. And he takes it in style. Very, very well done to him. He currently holds the points for the fastest lap. We'll wait until everyone else gets over the line. There is Podge, who will come through in a well-deserved second place. Got off the line very well at the start. He's going to come home in second place, no problem whatsoever. Lucifer gets to the podium for MP Motorsport. Winfield will be fourth as Wild Dog gets another time penalty. So Swanshanks fifth. Cookie picks up a penalty on the last lap, so he'll remain in sixth. Dust will be seventh. Terades will be on reverse grid pole thanks to Wild Dog's penalty. So Terades will be eighth. Wild Dog ninth. Vintage will be 10th. Green Pies is already a lap down in 11th place. Stephen should claim some points for completing enough laps. I think he did 13 out of 15 laps in the HWA, so a 12th place finish in the feature race would net you 4 championship points. But it's Ramsell who wins the feature race here at Paul Ricard. And Terades will be on reverse grid pole for the sprint race in a few minutes' time. So good start to the evening for Ramsell, just exactly what he wanted. Maximum points. So 48 points for getting pole position, fastest up and race victory. That moves him on to 262 points. So if my maths are correct, I think he may be moving up to second in the championship now going into the sprint race. There we go. Ramsell on the podium. He'll be very happy with that. And collecting the winner's trophy as well. Lucifer finishing on the podium. That adds 26 points to his championship total of 46. So that moves him on to 72 points. So I think he's gained a position on Dust. If my maths are correct. Well, I'll look at that in a moment. So here's your race result for the feature race. Ramsell wins and gains the points for the fastest lap and for pole position. Podge second, with Lucifer third, Winfield fourth, Swanshanks fifth, Cookie in sixth place for Campos, and it's the two UNI Virtuosi cars of Dust in seventh and Terades in eighth, and on reverse grid pole for the sprint. Wild Dog ninth, Vintage 10th, Green Pies 11th, and Stephen, despite not taking the checker flag, was classified in 12th place. That was the feature race. We've got one more race to come with the sprint race of 11 laps with no mandatory pit stop involved. We'll be back very, very shortly. And so the rain has come down on the Paul Ricard circuit. And it's going to be a wet race here. I don't know if it's going to remain wet throughout. I can almost guarantee it will be wet tyres all the way, because there's no intermediate tyre in F2, and so the crossover point is going to be too far away, I would imagine, for the drivers to get through. So Terades leads the field on the formation lap, and it's Dust in second place. Cookie and Swanshanks on row 2. Winfield and Lucifer are next, with Podge and Ramsell on row 4. Then it's Wild Dog, Vintage, Green Pies and Stephen. Bearing in mind, Green Pies' car will be controlled by the AI for the remainder of tonight's showing. So Ramsell will be hoping to claim another maximum in this sprint and take him closer to R10 in the championship race. So we've got 2 rounds to go after this one. Next week we'll be going to Imola. That was released last week. Cannot wait for that one. And then the last round will be in Singapore on November the 3rd. So who will reign supreme in the wet here at Paul Ricard? We'll find out very, very soon. And just see how many actually do get to the end of this one. We should still get, I would say, at least 2/3 of the field to the checker flag. But anything can happen, of course, in racing, and it usually does. So Tirades backs the field up as they all make their way round the last corner of Pont. Who is going to come out with the victory in this sprint? So the 2 United Virtuosi cars, the one in the red and black livery, that's Tirades, and the one in the black and yellow, Dust, in second place. So 12 cars on the grid for the last time tonight. And soon we'll see the 5 red lights appear in front of the drivers when they go out. We're racing for one last time here in France. 8 lights out, and away we go. Tirades gets off the line very well. Dust not so good though. He got a really dreadful start, and we're seeing the Cheroos of Swanshanks go to the outside. There's also Winfield in there, but it's Cookie who gets into turn 1 first. Winfield on the inside, and the 2 drivers touch, and it looks like they got through unscathed there. No one seems to be spinning around so far, and there's Cookie losing the lead to Winfield, so Winfield is in front in the Prema. And you can see Cookie and Tirades go side by side into the second chicane. Winfield runs out wide though at turn 3, and he's going to be very much on the third, but he's made contact with the Campos of Cookie as they go through turn 5. There's plenty of drivers using the runoff area at the moment. Very hard to tell where to brake because no drivers had any previous wet experience at Paul Ricard in these F2 cars, and there's a bit of debris there. I don't know whose car that's come off. It may well be Stephen actually. Or is it someone else? I'm just trying to see who it actually is. I think it may be Wild Dog, actually, who's lost part of his front wing. And yes, it is. So Wild Dog's front wing is damaged. You can see plenty of cars. There's Winfield going off track. I think Swanshank is off as well in the Cheroos. And so Cookie is the race leader. Swanshanks gets a 10-second time penalty for track limits. That is very harsh, to be honest with you. And Lucifer still behind Vintage at the moment, but they make contact, and Vintage goes off into the barrier. Does he? Yes, he does. And that's his front wing wrecked. Amazingly, the car is not terminally wrecked, but that'll be him off into the pit lane, and the virtual safety car is being deployed to allow the debris to be picked up. The drivers need to make sure they don't exceed the delta. So Tirades in front, getting back at the lead of the race. Cookie in second place, and Ramsel making a good start in the high-tech in third. But we're going to be seeing some pit lane activity at the end of the lap, I would imagine, as Vintage comes in. Wild Dog stayed out though. And Wild Dog nearly getting in front of Podge there. Podge rightfully remains in front. We should be back underway shortly now. We're back underway. So Tirades leads ahead of the Campos of Cookie, and it's Ramsel in third position. And there's Winfield on the inside there. Wild Dog, the 2 make contact. Dust takes advantage and gets through. So Dust up to 6th place as Wild Dog goes off track. He's really struggling with the damage he's got to his front wing. Winfield trying to get back through on Dust before they get to the chicane, which he does so. And so the Prema goes up into 6th position. Cookie behind Terades on the exit of the chicane. And Dust is back ahead of Winfield again. Are they going side by side again, or has Winfield decided to back out of this one? Winfield's backed out of it. And Lucifer runs wide as well. So Terades in the lead with Cookie. Still chasing him. Winfield's falling further back. He's lost a position to Lucifer momentarily before he's got back through on it again on the exit of turn 12. So Winfield protecting 7th position. There's Wild Dog continuing to struggle in the Carlin as Dust waits for his chance. There's no DRS with these conditions. It looks like Stephen is not actually taking control of that HWA, which is annoying because he retired from the feature race earlier on, but he's not taking part in the sprint. I think there should be a rule when it comes to competing in both races that if you retire from the feature race, or whatever you choose to do, you must be competing in the sprint. And Wild Dog gets a penalty now for track limits. As does Lucifer. So both drivers on 3-second time penalties. Terades in 1st position. Cookie only half a second behind, but Cookie won't have the benefit of the DRS because that's been disabled, given that we are in wet conditions here at Paul Ricard. Ramsell chasing after them in 3rd place. He needs every point he can get. He's got enough time to do it. Doesn't need to take too many risks, and the virtual safety car's been deployed. Now, what's that all about? That can't be because of the conditions. Just looking to see who's lost part of their front wing. It won't be either the AI cars. I don't think Vintage has gone off. This might be Wild Dog's chance to actually pit in here. Decides not to. And the rain's getting heavier and heavier and heavier at the moment. So could we be in need of a safety car later on? We're back underway anyway. Beginning lap 4 now. And Terades still in front. So Cookie behind as Winfield gets past Wild Dog for 6th place, albeit he's gone way off the track there. I doubt he'll keep that position, to be honest with you. He's going over the service. He's been given a time penalty. That's very harsh because he took the escape road. He didn't gain any advantage, so I think for that penalty to be given to him is very, very harsh from race control. And Dust behind Podge. You can see how relentless the rain is right now. Podge holding on though. And Dust is going to go through here up to 4th position. Got better drive coming out of that. But Podge is still on the inside. Dust leaves him enough space. And Podge gets back through into 4th position. So good racing between those two. Dust. He's still there. To the outside he goes into turn 12. He'll get a better exit than the Carlin. There's Ramsell closing in gradually, but taking his time. No need to rush things. So lap 4 is done. And Ramsell with the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 58.4. So we've had 2 virtual safety cars already. And there's Ramsell getting better drive coming out of turn 2 there. Cookie going defensive. Ramsell to the outside before they get to turn 3. They almost look like they made contact there, but Ramsell's doing to P2. Very nice move there from the feature race winner earlier on. Now he can go after Terades. So you can see Lucifer behind Wild Dog. He'll have better drive coming out of there, considering that Wild Dog is still suffering with that front wing damage on lap 1. So he going to the outside. And we've got another virtual safety car, which is interesting. And Lucifer has been penalised for contact with Wild Dog, so that may be something to dispute afterwards. We've got our third VSC of the race. Just wait for the race to restart. Mansell will want to get on with this as soon as he can. You can see how intense the rain is right now. And Cookie has received a drive-through penalty for exceeding the virtual safety car. That's very bad news for the Campos driver. So that'll be him pitting in within the next 3 laps, which will see him probably drop all the way down to 9th place. That's what happens when you exceed the VSC delta. You'll get punished heavily if you exceed it at the end of the period. Now, if I was Cookie, I'd just pit in at the end of this lap, get it done out of the way, and if there's a safety car later on, then you'll be back in play again. And Winfield getting in front of Lucifer, who's got an 8-second time penalty at the moment. Winfield's on 3. Wild Dog has an 8-second time penalty. Sunshine's getting in front of Lucifer to move up into 8th place. There he is, look. Oh, he forces the MP out wide a little bit. So Ramsell continuing to close in onto Raids. And Cookie decides to come into the pits now to service drive-through. He'll be very, very gutted with that. But rules are rules, I'm afraid. And Terades now with the fastest lap. Well, speak of the devil, Ramsell's now got the new fastest lap. 1 minute 58.1, so the drivers are able to find more growth. I have to say, Duss has posted a 1:57.1. That's a full second quicker than what Ramsell's just posted. So the conditions seem to be improving at the moment. I'll say they're improving. There's a lot of rain still coming down on this racetrack. And Cookie's rejoining 9th place, but there are a couple of drivers ahead of him. They're on time penalties that would be enough for him to leapfrog them by the time this race is over. So Ramsell behind Terades with 5 laps to go. thinking about a move. Will he go for it into the chicane here? He slows down and backs out of it and remains behind the Unai Virtuosi for now. And Winfield making a move on Wild Dog into the chicane. Wild Dog stays ahead for now. Winfield will get a better exit here, I should think, than the Carlin. And he does so. More grip. And Winfield gets through and up into 5th position. And Wild Dog picks up yet another time penalty. And so Ramsell's still behind Therese as he thought about a move through turn 14. Ramsell may be able to get better drive onto the pit straight, which he does so slightly than Therese. Are we going to see a change of lead here at the beginning of lap 8? Ramsell with a new fastest lap. Here he goes, look, to the inside into turn 1. Therese is still in front for now. Ramsell will try and do a switchback on the exit of turn 2. And what a brilliant switchback it was. Ramsell takes the lead of the sprint race here at Paul Ricard. That was an excellent move. Carved his way through the field, picked them off one by one. And unless Ramsell makes a mistake, I cannot see Therese fighting back from this now. So Ramsell on course for a maximum score here tonight. That was what he was after. And with him now, with clear track ahead of him, he should be able to pull away. Well, he slides his way through turn 9. We've seen Lucifer being given another time penalty. So as it stands with Cookie, is where he is, he'll still finish in front of Wild Dog, Lucifer and Swanshanks. So go back up into P6. But he could have so easily been on the podium again here tonight. But there's still time for things to change. And should Ramsell get a maximum score in this race, that would move him onto 292 points, which would put him 40 behind. Just whilst I say that, I think Lucifer's just gone for a spin. He's falling behind Cookie. So at least that's one less car for Cookie to worry about at the moment. Dust now has the fastest up of the race, 1 minute 56.2 for him. Ramsell will know the situation, so he needs to get on with it. We'll see what his time through sector 1 is like. He's 300ths down from before. Couldn't see Dust's time at that point. Dust is in 3rd place right now, so on course to end this evening on a high. I think Lucifer's just been in the pits actually to get a change of tyres on, so could he be going for the fastest lap? Three laps to go in this race. And Ramsell a 10th up, more than a 10th up by sector 2. So at the moment, if he was to beat Dust's fastest lap, he would need to beat him. He needs to find half a second over the course of the lap. So sector 3 is where it's going to count for him. But this is the sector that has the most corners out of all the sectors on this track. So we'll see how Ramsell does here in the final few laps and claim those extra 2 championship points that he so desperately wants, as well as the race victory. If he can't do that, then just keep the car on the track and bring it home. So the lap time he's looking for is a 1:56.1 ideally. It's a 1:56.4. That's not enough to take the fast lap away from Dust. Dust is not improving, or he is now. 3/10 up from before. 1:55.9 he has set. So Dust absolutely on fire in these conditions. And he's closing on to Raids in the battle for P2. So how is Ramsell getting on through sector 1? Sectors 1 and 2 is where he's lost time at. He's 2/10 up here. And Dust is 300ths up from before, so Ramsell still needs to get a move on this lap. And Wild Dog has picked up another time penalty. 14 seconds he is on now. So Ramsell coming towards sector 2. What's his time like through there? 1:04.1. Dust is time by the stage 1:04.0. So Dust is going quicker on this lap than Ramsell is right now. Ramsell going off track there. I would imagine he'd exceeded track limits, which you won't want to be doing that too many times. He's only a couple of seconds adrift of Raids. And Winfield picks up another penalty. Won't lose any positions as it stands. He certainly won't be gaining any. So Ramsell over the line. And it's a 1:56.0. It's a better time, but I think Dust is on a better lap here than before. 1:55.3. We're on to the last lap now, and Dust will be fancying his chances of finishing second in this one. The conditions are improving. You can clearly see that the intensity of the rain has decreased. So Ramsell on the last lap then. 2/10 up from before. Dust is 5/10 up from before. This is a brilliant lap here from Dust, but the only problem he's got is that Raids is right in front of him. So that could cost him some time, and that'll be good news for Ramsell. So Ramsell needing to find all the time he can on this last lap. He's over 3 seconds in front now, so even if he was to get a 3-second time penalty, he would still come out as the race victor. So Ramsell through sector 2 here. It's 1:03.9. Dust on a 1:03.9. He's lost time by being stopped behind Raids. He's lost time in sector 2. Wild Dog has picked up yet another time penalty. 17 seconds for him. And Winfield has just moved in front of Podge. I wonder if Podge has made a mistake somewhere, but has continued. And Raids has now got a time penalty, so that will cost him his second place for sure. And that will cement Ramsell's place on the top step of the podium. So Ramsell, for the second time tonight, is going to win and edge further closer to the championship. And Dust is spun. So Dust will not set a faster lap time than before. He's picked up a time penalty as well, which could move him off the podium actually. But Ramsell on the pit straight is going to come through to win. Does he get the fastest lap? No, he doesn't. But Ramsell does take the race victory. Raids comes through in second place. Dust will fall off the podium and Podge will be going to it. So Dust loses his third place. Podge is third. Dust fourth. Winfield fifth. Swanshanks will be sixth ahead of Wild Dog. He will drop down to eighth behind Cookie. Well, Cookie will finish sixth now, actually, with the penalties applied. Swanshanks seventh. Wild Dog eighth. Vintage will be ninth ahead of Lucifer, who's closing in on him, actually. I didn't see his lap times, actually, from Lucifer, so could he actually get the fastest lap? We'll wait and see. Stephen and Green Pies, their cars were controlled by the AI. So here's Lucifer. Going for the fastest lap here. Will he get it here? No, he doesn't. But it's victory for Ramsell here at Paul Ricard for the second time. So Ramsell on the top set once again. And looking very, very good going into the last 2 rounds of the season at Imola and Singapore. So your race result is this. Ramsell wins, and he says he does get the fast start points, but that's wrong, is that? So Dusk gets the points for the fast start. So Ramsell wins ahead of Terades. Podge is third ahead of Darstings. Winfield ahead of Cookie. Swanshank 7th ahead of Wild Dog. Vintage 9th and Lucifer in 10th. Stephen and Group Eyes made it to the end, a lap down, but their cars were controlled by the AI. So Ramsell's results tonight moves him up to second place in the championship as he closes in on Donargen. The gap at the top has come down to 42 points with 2 rounds to go. The next round will be at Imola in a week's time, same time. Next week, 8:30 PM British Summer Time. So we can't wait for that for them. Thank you for joining us. Do make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back in 7 days' time. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.